What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Bold Business. I'm your host, Philip Michael, and let's get right to this week's trends. And trend number one, Kim Kardashian West is officially a billionaire. She reached that status thanks to her KKW Beauty and Skin brands. Her soon-to-be ex-husband, Kanye West, is already part of the Billionaires Club, and her little sister, Kylie, was just removed from that club last May. Kardashian West told TMZ that she predicts she won't be the last person from her family who reaches billionaire status. With the family's long-running show coming to an end, who could be next? Well, it is interesting. One of the things that I actually thought about this morning is that it seems as though the new millionaire is billionaire, meaning the way people become billionaires now is how they became millionaires in the past. Roughly speaking, obviously it's not that simple, but it does seem like that because you have new billionaires coming into that club, joining that club. And of course, when we heard Kylie Jenner becoming the youngest self-made billionaire and I guess being removed, it's not that surprising to see Kim Kardashian joining that list. And of course, it also exemplifies one of these trends with the advent of course, the internet, when that became popularized 20-something years ago and actually became integrated in pop culture as a whole. Now with social media and people like that leveraging their reach to become not even micro brands, but mega brands, but not through mass media, through themselves effectively. So it's not that surprising when they start pushing out products that they amass great wealth. I could totally see Rihanna, someone who's made money from the music industry, leverage that into her own brand, mega brand, and now she's making more money from her own brand than she is from music. In fact, she hasn't put out any music in 4 years. And music at this point just becomes a marketing tool for her to, build a fortune, of which she owns everything. Whereas with, if you're part of media, if you're an actor, if you're a recording artist, you don't really own what you're doing. You're just a talent who renders their services. Whereas if you're the one calling the shots, you own the eyeballs. Boom, you're off to the races. I actually think there's going to be a lot more. Someone like Conor McGregor, the MMA fighter, has his own whiskey brands, has been killing it, generating, I believe, north of 9 figures. So you're going to see a lot more people graduate from just mass pop culture notoriety to mass millions to eventually becoming billions. Interesting trend to follow, and it is exciting to see what's next. Now, speaking of celebrities, Diddy released a statement exposing the way corporate America refuses to invest in black businesses. In his statement on his own media company, Revolt, Diddy reveals that General Motors, while making loads of money from black consumers, has spent less than 1% of their ad revenue on black-owned media companies. After General Motors listed Diddy's company, Revolt, as one of the media brand it supports, but Diddy countered by saying out of the $3 billion that General Motors spent on advertising, they only spent $10 million in black-owned media. Now, black Americans spend $1.4 trillion a year and make up 15% of the population. Maybe it should make up 15% of the ad spend, right? Because it is where the money's coming from. Now, I completely agree with Diddy. It's not just the corporations, it's the banks and Wall Street too. I'm going to tell you something. They're all full of shit. I'm going to tell you why. Now, this is just one thing in a microcosm as big as those numbers are. It is just one thing in a microcosm, as I said. If you look at the banking industry, take Bank of America, for instance. In Q4 of last year, they made close to $10 billion in non-interest income. This is per the Wall Street Journal, which is what they get from their publicly available information. Close to $10 billion in non-interest income, i.e. fees, right? From their investment banking division and their stock trading division combined, they didn't even make half of that. Now, let's not even start to factor in the 25, 26, 27% interest rates that they charge from their poor customers, which is where they make the bulk of their money from. So now, Citigroup and JP Morgan Chase came out and said, actually Goldman Sachs as well, came out and said, look, we want to help reduce the wealth gap. We want to bring more wealth to minority communities. Meanwhile, you got companies like Bank of America pulling that type of tomfoolery. To me, that's some BS. So these banks, Wall Street, we need to hold them accountable. If you're really serious about what you're saying, because on the heels of the George Floyd protests, you had a lot of big brands come out, Netflix, Adidas, all these companies that also make money from, again, minority communities that go out there and consume their stuff. They come out and say, we stand with the black community, this and that and the other. All right, prove it, show it. Show us a pathway to how you bring more minorities into ownership. The number one driver behind the wealth gap is absence of real estate ownership. Meanwhile, 90% of millionaires are made from real estate. Let's see how we can deploy some money. What's another stat? Was it $4 trillion? Let's just say $1 trillion. I'm pretty sure it was 4, but let's just say $1 trillion was issued in mortgages last year. Would it be too hard to just put a few billion into minority homeowners, giving them a pathway to get there, help them build their credit, educate them, not just rip them off with these overdraft fees and then just sell off their credit card debt to collections agencies, writing it off against the income that you got from them in the first place? Come on now. Let's make it make sense. Are you really about it, or are you just talking shit? Let's see. Help create some more minority homeowners. I definitely want to see that. Now, rant over. Last but not least, China has created their own digital currency. So money is already virtual. Think checking account, credit cards, Venmo, Cash App, and all that. But those are just ways to move your money electronically. Meanwhile, China is turning their yuan into code, kind of like Bitcoin. But unlike Bitcoin, it will be centralized in the Chinese national bank and be completely traceable. So the government will be able to see exactly where and when citizens spend their money. Now, with cash and crypto, you can pretty much buy anything if you want without a trace. But if governments start handing out purely digital currency, they'll be able to see everything we buy. Beijing has even tested expiration dates to make people spend faster. Imagine if the government had issued our stimulus checks digitally, right? And then gave us a month to spend it to make sure we're actually stimulating the economy and not just saving the free money for a rainy day. Now, it's one of those things, and obviously different countries have different cultural norms and different ways that they're govern their countries. I don't like to pass judgment in that regard, but it is interesting to see that this is the country that had the controlled reproduction. You can only have this many kids, and now you're actually tracing where people spend their money. It is a little totalitarian. What's next? I mean, should people not be able to save the money? Because with what we've had, we thought initially this whole thing would last a few weeks. Now we're here a year later. That initial stimulus check, would that last you a year? I don't know. So I don't know how good it is to track and monitor people's spending. I get it. You want to make sure it stimulates the economy, get things rolling. But at the same time, come on, what's next? Before you know it, they'll track everything you do. If they start tracking where you spend your money, I don't know. That's tough to come back from, but it's definitely an interesting trend to follow, and it could serve as a blueprint for better or for worse for the rest of the world. Let's see what happens.